All right, good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming today. We are, well, exactly 5 Tuesdays away from St. Patrick's Day of 2020. It's an exciting time for the city of Savannah and around. Of course, the big events will start the weekend before that. And we have a lot to talk about today. We kind of want to set the stage. I know all the crews, all the different departments and divisions are really getting set for this. I spent about an hour with our sanitation department yesterday, and they made sure that they pointed out all the details and all the equipment and everything that they were getting ready for their big day. Of course, the sanitation department not here today, but I'll tell you what, if any of the reporters have not been down on River Street around 3 or 4 a.m. after a St. Patrick's Day night, it is quite a scene to see the crews clean up from River Street and Bay Street and Broughton Street, and that crew is ready as well. Susan Broker is here with special events. Of course, Sean Brandon with Parking Mobility Services. Julie Muscleman joins us from the Savannah Waterfront Association. And then with Savannah Police Department Sergeant Pagliaro and Major Gavin, we'll take questions after that. We will start with Susan Broker, and immediately after Susan Broker, one of our partners in this, the Savannah Waterfront Association, to talk about Savannah's waterfront will be Julie Muscleman.
Thank you. Good morning. Ken's right. You know, we're 5 Tuesdays away. This is a big event. We're doing something, as you know, a little bit different this year, having the festival the weekend prior, and then, as usual, the St. Patrick's Day Parade will take place on actually St. Patrick's Day, so Tuesday the 17th. We're going to talk today about some specifics related to rideshare, Uber, Lyft, you know, parking pre-event, those kind of things. What I wanted to go ahead and introduce to the community are some things we're going to be looking for some partnership on. You may recall last year that we asked for folks not to bring styrofoam coolers into the parks and squares. We are going to be asking this year not to bring styrofoam coolers at all. So in the special events department, this is a slow process, but we are slowly trying to move to a zero waste program. You know, St. Patrick's Day, we have a lot of waste. We've seen it all. We've seen the photos. We've lived through it all. We can do better as a community. We can do better for our community. And so we're really going to be looking to our partners, our neighbors, you know, those that are visiting us to come into our community, but to not bring that styrofoam, to, you know, pack in, pack out. These things are very important to our community, and it also is important as we continue to move forward with St. Patrick's Day, you know, what we continue to allow in our parks and squares. We always address this every year, what kind of impact there has been from a trash perspective, as Ken just mentioned, on River Street, but also from a perspective of trampling on our greenscapes in our parks and squares. We're really asking people, please, 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 please help us take care of these wonderful assets that we have in our community. It's a great day to come down and celebrate, but let's also celebrate the fact that when we leave here, we leave a beautiful place behind for our millions of visitors to come and see every day, not just on St. Patrick's Day. So as we move forward with these press conferences, we'll be unveiling more and more information, but I wanted to go ahead and let you all know that so that you can let your viewers be aware that we are going to be a little bit stricter about trash and styrofoam, things of that nature. So I will be around to answer a little more generic questions about the planning, but let me go ahead and turn it over to Julie Muscleman. Julie has been a great partner, so that you all know we start planning for this back in June, and we meet every week. This is a huge task, and she's come on board with Savannah's Waterfront, and we're thrilled to have her. She's a great partner, and I think the community can look forward to the Savannah's Waterfront really taking this festival to the next level. So, Julie.
Thank you, Susan. My name is Julie Muscleman. I'm the Executive Director of Savannah's Waterfront, and I'm thrilled to be with you today to talk about the Festival of St. Patrick. As was previously announced, the festival will be the weekend before actual St. Patrick's Day. It will start on Friday, March 13th at 6 p.m. and go through Sunday, March 15th at 6 p.m. We're very excited about the plans we have in store for the festival. We will have 3 different music stages along the waterfront, and also City Market will have 2 music stages. So by our next press conference, we'll be able to release those entertainment schedules to you. But just to give you a feel for everything that's going on. If you are planning to attend the festival and attend the street party, you must purchase a wristband. The wristband is a $10 cover charge for the party. And those wristband sales tents all around the festival zone will be available during festival hours. If you'd like to go on and get your wristbands, you can do so at savannahswaterfront.com and go on and pre-order your wristbands. You must be 21 to do so. And then you will pick those up at our will call tent. And you know, just important to note that the wristband sales, the beverage sales during the Festival of St. Patrick are cash sales. So the pre-sale wristband opportunity on our website is the only way to use a credit card for those transactions. So that's important. IDs are checked, and people say, why do you have just cash only? Because to follow appropriate alcohol procedures, it's one beverage per person. And those beers, say for example, are $5 domestic, $6 import. You would be using inadequate 4G internet. We just don't have that capacity in the festival zone. So we have ATMs all over the festival zone. We bring in additional ATMs, and we have those wristband sales on the website starting today, going through the festival. So we encourage you to take a look there. Also on the website, when we have all of our entertainment confirmed, that's where you'll be able to find the entertainment schedule. We are very excited about partnering with the City of Savannah and our friends at the Parade Committee and City Market to produce a great, great event. It's known as the best riverfront street party ever thrown, and we're very excited to bring that to our community. I'll be around for questions afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Another big issue is with parking always, and of course we have a split festival of St. Patrick and St. Patrick's Day, and then a day of normal business for the City of Savannah, what could be normal between. But Sean Brandon with Parking Services and Mobility Services here to talk about that.
Good morning. I'm going to try to take you through every mode of transportation that we think will be prominent during St. Patrick's Day, and we'll start with cars. I would personally advise folks to look at other forms of transportation if they're coming into downtown on that, particularly that Saturday before and the Tuesday of. However, all of our garages will be open during the festival periods. They'll be charging $20. That's a flat $20 for the day. I will also note this will be the first year that we are going to be credit card only on those transactions. So please come in with your credit card. It just makes our lives way easier in terms of cash management on those days. If you are coming on the day of and you are actually working downtown, as some people do, as usual, if you're a monthly customer, we will reserve spots in the garage for you up until 8:30. And then after 8:30, those spaces will go as general, first come, first served. If you are coming into downtown on that Tuesday and you're used to prepay, I will note that prepay for garage spaces will start on February 25th. You'll be able to either call into the office or go to the city website for that. If you are coming in on the day of that Tuesday, please also note core garages, that would be Whitaker Street, State Street, Bryan, are subject to how police move the parade through. And in other words, if you park in that garage, please understand you may not be able to leave until the parade has completely passed through. And they've given us an all clear order. Typically that has been somewhere in the neighborhood of 2 to 3 o'clock. So in particular, those people parking at Bryan and State Street, please understand you are subject to that.
Sorry.
You're good. Thank you. All right. On to rideshare. So we traditionally have had a rideshare area at Indian Street on the western side of downtown. We will have that again. They will share that with motor coaches. However, we're going to be experimenting with another rideshare area just off of Johnson Square. There'll be more details about that as we get closer. For those who are coming in on motor coaches, and we track this sort of thing, all of those party buses are coming in on Saturday, it appears. Those buses, which will probably be in the neighborhood of 30, somewhere between 30 and 50 buses, we will be routing to Indian Street. Indian Street is loading, unloading only for those buses, so they will drop their folks off and then pick them back up probably later that night. If you are coming by public transit, please note that on the Tuesday of, as we have done for the past few years, we work with Chatham Area Transit. The entire regular system will be free that day, and that is a wonderful day if you have not tried out public transit to try out public transit. Chatham Area Transit will also be running shuttles as they have in previous years. Savannah Mall, Town Center on Wilmington Island, and then the West Side Shopping Center right around Garden City. Those will operate as they normally have, with pickup and drop off on Oglethorpe Avenue near Price Street. And that's been a regular thing for CAT for a number of years. Other thing I will note in terms of what we will be enforcing during the festival period, that's Saturday, Sunday, and in particular on Tuesday, we will be doing heavy enforcement on bike lanes and on sidewalks. Those are not parking areas. And in fact, a fair number of people will be biking and walking into the festival area rather than driving, so we need those cleared out. That's about sort of the general gist of how I can think of everyone will be coming into downtown. I would just like to encourage folks, please stay safe and consider picking a mode of transportation that gets you easily in and out, particularly if you are not all that familiar with downtown.
Sean, before we get to public safety, one of the biggest questions I always get is which garage fills up first, which one second? Can you kind of give an order?
Good question. Most people are very smart about this. The first garage that traditionally fills up is Liberty. And that is because it is not in the festival area. It is not a core garage. Usually, probably around 8:30, 9 o'clock, that garage is already filled. And then it sort of moves in. I would say for folks who are actually trying to move stuff into squares, they are parking much closer in. So the next garage that usually fills up would be State. Bryan. Whitaker, oddly enough, usually never fills up. And some of that is just due to where it is in relation to the festival and in relation to the parade. And I think an assumption that's made by a lot of people that that must be the first garage that fills up, when in fact it is the last.
All right. Thank you very much, Sean. Last but definitely not least, public safety, the #1 priority in the city of Savannah. We have Sergeant Pagliaro, Major Gavin, the two battling it out to see who will speak here.
Did you win? Good morning. Talk real quick about the squares and safety in the squares. We will be putting public safety corridors in the squares. We'll basically bisect the squares. That is an area for us to move through. It's also an area for people who are passing through the square to move through. As always, we have the land rush on Tuesday morning. That's going to be same time as always, 6 o'clock. You can't move in before that. If you're in there before that, we're going to kick you out and you can come in like everybody else does. Like Susan said, we want you to kind of make sure that we're not damaging the squares. So that's the other reason for the public safety corridor. It gives us, EMS, fire, a chance to be in the area and not affected by the crowds. So that's going to be our big focus on parade day, along with obviously the traffic and things like that. For festival days, as always, and on parade day, we ask you to take pictures of your kids before you come down. Telling us that your child's wearing green just kind of makes them stand like everybody else. So take a good picture, get it to us. We have ways we can push that out to our officers if your child gets lost. We will have areas where we can take parents to and take children to, where we can reunify you if something should happen. Obviously, if you drink, don't drive. We're going to be out enforcing DUIs throughout the festival and after the parade. GSP and our other partners will be out as well. So
Any questions?
One thing, I was reminded there is one mode of transportation I forgot, and that is ferries. So ferries will be operating during that time, and in fact, you'll be able to, if you want to, park on Hutchinson Island and take the ferries over. As they normally do, they'll be operating till midnight and a little bit after, but they are also an option, and I would advise people, if you really need to drive but don't want to deal with downtown, that is actually a good option.
Do we have any questions?
Yeah, what's the story with the people putting chairs up on the parade route? How do we handle that, and what do we do with that?
You want to go?
Great question. Actually, I was just leaning over to Ken to say, let's talk about that. We use these opportunities to get out information, so there's just so many various points of information, but that's a great question. Yeah, last year we had some real issues with folks putting chairs, tables, you know, a myriad of things on the public right-of-way and also attached to private property. So here's the deal, folks. You may begin to put your items on the parade route starting at 6 p.m. on Monday, okay? But you may not put those materials on private property unless it's your own or affixed to any city infrastructure. If you have your chairs tied to a parking station or a sign, do not be surprised if those have been unattached and removed. For safety reasons, we have to keep our public rights-of-way open and clear, not just for safety, but for ADA accessibility. It's just really important people are able to traverse those areas. So 6 p.m. the day before on that Monday, as Sergeant Pagliaro mentioned, we will have the land rush at 6 a.m. in the squares. And of course, those folks start coming about 10 p.m. the night before, sitting out. And in the squares, we will have marshals and security. So as he said, we will be asking you to leave if you try to rush the squares before the actual time. And again, as you do rush the squares, just keep in mind of the beautiful greenscapes and the time and the money and the love that is put into making Savannah beautiful all year round. So 6 p.m. night before, don't affix it to any city infrastructure. Don't put it on anybody's private property unless it's your own. And do not, under any circumstances, block the right-of-way for passage for pedestrians and for Americans with Disabilities Act.
Street sweeping zones, will those be in effect over the course of the festival weekend and then that following Tuesday?
They will be in effect. There will be some, in fact, we'll have a press conference specifically to talk about sanitation efforts, but they will be in effect. There may be some delay because of the removal of parking for the parade route, but they adjust that every year. So yeah, and I will piggyback on what Ken mentioned earlier for our media. You know, if you have not been out there at 3 or 4 in the morning on River Street with our sanitation crews, it is really a sight to see. If you've ever seen Willy Wonka, the old one, and they go through the clean squeegee, that's kind of how it looks. It's pretty remarkable. So you know, we need to pat those folks on the back. This is a huge task for them. But I would encourage all of you to participate in that so that you can promote that to our community and they can see really how hard these folks work.
Kind of in that same vein, you talk a lot about the squares and the cleanup crews and stuff, but in terms of actually preventing that, we say it every year after St. Patrick's Day, we have to do better, we have to do better. What are you guys doing to kind of mitigate the messes in the squares, the messes on River Street, or is it just kind of we've resigned to patting the cleaning crews on the back and say they're the heroes? You know?
And one of the things that Sergeant Pagliaro mentioned, and it's a great question, is the public safety corridor. When we say it's a public safety corridor, it's also the ability for city staff to move into the square. One of the biggest problems is with the dense crowds, trash cans, bags get full, and things begin going on the ground. And so what this corridor will do is give the ability for even sanitation to move in, replace some of those bags without having to try and fight through a crowd, get those bags out. And so this will give them easy access to come over, put it into the middle, and traverse through the square. And hopefully they'll be replacing that more often, which will lead to less on the ground and more in the bags.
how often do police actually enforce littering ordinances during St. Patrick's Day? Because I imagine you guys are stretched pretty thin with everything else.
I mean, we try to, you know, make sure, you know, usually all day long, if someone sees someone do something blatant, the officer is usually going to address that and tell them, pick it up, or I can write you a citation. You know, if you start getting bogged down on some of that, and you know, you start taking your focus away from what our main focus is to make sure that's, you know, there's a safe festival and parade.
Is there anything that you guys are doing specifically to monitor the drinking and driving, whether that be checkpoints or anything specific there?
What we do is, I mean, we're going to have our traditional enforcement, which is our nighttime DUI, and our traffic unit will be out in full force, and along with all of the other community partners. I know there's multiple agencies within Chatham County that people are traversing through to go home or come into town. So they're going to have an enforcement effort going on around there also, and then we have a lot of state patrol in Savannah during that weekend, and Georgia State Patrol will be out full force. So, you know, that's why we encourage, you know, come up with a different plan if you're going to drink. Have a designated driver, use ride shares, whatever it is, but you know, don't get behind the wheel.
I want to talk about that rideshare service in Johnson Square, I think you said, right? Is that like a sure thing?
So I about 90% sure we're going to do it. But that for a future press conference we'll give more details about it. There's a few things we need to just work through on that. But everyone is sort of nodded to it. We just need to formally know what that exactly will look like.
I wanted to follow up just on something Major Gavin said. You know, the police are out in full force, but don't forget we have a code compliance department whose responsibility it is to monitor issues like litter and blight, and they will give you a ticket. You know, I feel like I'm up here being the fun sponge, but the fact of the matter is we do say that every year. We can do better, and you know, as I said, we're moving towards zero waste. As a community, you know, we have recycling. We have a great sanitation department. We care about our community. There is absolutely no reason we should, you know, look around at the end of the day and see some of the things that we've seen. So we will give tickets. We are asking people not to bring that styrofoam. We are going to put out additional brown trash bags. You know, pack it in, pack it out. I think I said it last year. You know, leave only your footprints. It was a great, you know, campaign that Tybee did. You know, so listen, take care of our home. And you know, we can do this together, but there will be penalties, you know, and we do have that opportunity to write you a ticket.
For those penalties, will we have this? Sorry.
That's okay.
The same mobile court kind of situation again? Or?
No, we're not going to do that this year. You know, one of the great things about a Tuesday event is it allows us to try different things, and so we are trying a few different things this year. Next year we may try that again. But this year we're really focusing on the public safety corridor, the no styrofoam, the not putting your materials out on the public right-of-way before 6 p.m. the night before, and generally better behavior, you know, and enjoying the parade and cleaning up after yourself.
Since y'all have announced that the festival will be split from the parade, have you been able to get a sense of whether are you expecting the largest crowds over the weekend, then still planning to have Monday be that day of rest for city officials and police, and then expecting more large crowds again on Tuesday?
Well, as Sean mentioned earlier, the motor coaches that are coming in are looking like they're coming in on Saturday.
All of them are coming in Saturday.
Right. So we're not expecting that out-of-town big push on Tuesday. So, you know, I think we'll have a great crowd. Hopefully it'll be a beautiful day. You know, and we're hoping people will come that are coming to the parade, come on Sunday, stay through Tuesday. You know, we do want a reset button on that Monday, as we indicated for all of us up here and our partners. But we will still be out in force, making sure that our streets are safe and that things stay clean. But certainly a Tuesday event is a little bit different than a Saturday event in terms of numbers.
So will that Tuesday, the way I'm seeing it is kind of like festival zone on Saturday, Sunday, drinking downtown, the party and the fun stuff, you know, and then Monday, festival zone's gone, regular rules downtown, and then Tuesday, festival zone rules again?
Tuesday, parade rules, you know, and I don't know if Major Gavin, if you want to speak to this, because it's a little bit more public safety related. So.
Yeah, so I mean, what we're doing is we're having the festival during the weekend. We have times, start time and an end time. Everybody has to be out of that festival area. All the outside vendors are going to be broken down. So there won't be anything left. People will get the idea that that festival is over. Monday we will, you know, make sure we're getting our preparations for the parade. Normally on a weekday parade is less attended than a weekend parade, of course. So, you know, we were thinking that people are going to come in that want to enjoy the, you know, the festival are going to end up leaving during the weekend on Sunday or Monday, and that you're going to have a more localized group that's going to stay for the parade. And with the parade, we're going to have the same, you know, we'll have the barricades up for the parade route itself, but after the parade is over, there is no festival to go to, whereas before you would go down from the parade and people would go to each of the festival areas. That's going to be gone. It'll be business as usual. People will have to go inside businesses to get drinks, and all the same rules apply. And that way, we think that there's going to be a less of a crowd. We'll be prepared for more, but we have a feeling that that's going to be a smaller crowd when it comes to parade day.
So, as Major Gavin explained, the festival Friday through Sunday. Everyone locally probably has to go to work on Monday. Tuesday after the parade, I would be remiss if I did not say that the bars and restaurants and shops along Savannah's waterfront and in City Market are open for business. There's plenty of fun to be had inside of those establishments. There's just not a street party.
Sorry. Just, I know Savannah, I don't know. What if there is a street party on that day? Is that going to be, you know, police out in the street telling people to go home, or?
No, I mean, it'd be like any Saturday night downtown.
Yeah.
So, you know, we're going to treat it like a regular day. And of course, there's going to be a larger crowd on a Tuesday afternoon downtown and enjoying themselves. What it is we're not going to have a controlled area. It's going to give people the ability to come and go. Traffic is going to be flowing like it normally would at the end of the day. People have to get ready for work on Wednesday. They're going to be, you know, school and work on Monday. All of those pieces going on. So all of that, we want to make sure that there's some normalcy, and that we'll have you know, some extra enforcement out there to make sure people are traversing and staying safe. But we expect it to be like you would on a weekend night.
Thank you all. If you have any other individual questions, obviously Sean with parking, Errol Curl from Chatham Area Transit is here if you have any specific details, and of course Julie is available as well. Thank you all for coming.